Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Late Night with Travis Michelle. I see we have some people already here. Thank you so much. If you have not signed up with StreamYard, we won't be able to see your name. So you'll have to type your name in the comment section so that I can give you a shout out. I am host of Late Night with Travis Michelle, Ugly Side of the Backstory. What do we do? What does that really mean? Well, guests come on and they share their journey, their challenges, their struggles on their way to success. It's great to see the shiny object, but it's better to see that I'm not going to be the only one that, it's a process as we go and strive towards our goal, towards our success, whether it's in business, parenting, etc. Because we have different topics every single Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, Angelique. Thank you so much for popping on. Please make sure everyone shares. So one thing that I have to now start doing again, and y'all forgive me, look, it's my chemo brain. For those of you who don't know, I am on my cervical cancer journey. Had grueling treatment and just recovery and still the other treatment that's still working. It's challenging, but you know what, show up for yourself anyway. So, I just don't want y'all to let the flowing hair and eyelashes fool you. But this is what we do here, the ugly side of the backstory on Travis Michelle. So what I need you to do is have your beverage of choice. I have my ice water, helps with my nausea. And you know what? I still have a little piece of my grandmother, my grandparents. This is the original, those old glasses that you buy now and spend a lot of money. I got the original set. Also, be in your bonnet, in your bed, sit back, relax, put them children to bed, tell that husband, this is your hour, this is your time. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is what we talk about. So like I said, please share. So tonight, our guest, I'm going to tell you about her, and then we're going to bring her right on up. Her name is Michelle Anderson Benjamin. She's really special to me because when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in November of 2021, she was Team Travis Michelle. I hadn't even thought about a team name, nothing. She goes, "Oh, I'm Team Travis Michelle. You got this, sis." That's her thing. You got this, sis. I'm like, okay. I had no choice, right? One, I believe in the Lord and I know He has me, but He also made sure I had the right circle around me. So when I say that she's on point, okay? She is on point. She is reliable. She has integrity. When she keeps her word. So enough about, because we're going to have her on here in a minute. Michelle Anderson Benjamin is a mother of two, wife and healthcare administrator from New York City. Yo, New York in the house, just saying. After being diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36 in 2020, during the pandemic, she was inspired to turn her pain into her purpose and started the Fearless Warrior Project, LLC. As a certified master coach and mental health advocate, she helps others find their voice. Michelle is also a patient advocate and a young advocate for living beyond breast cancer. So young women, right? Because it affects us all. To demand change, you must be a willing participant and demand a seat at the table where decisions are made. And guess what? Michelle set a table. It has 8 servings, beautiful glassware. She has her beautiful chairs. And y'all, let me tell you, the chairs are pink and they're for a queen. I'm just saying. So seating in the table in her path, her faith in God gives her purpose and an understanding that her assignment was designed just for her. Michelle's motivation is creating a legacy for her kids to be proud of. Michelle has always been a superwoman, but now she wears a pink cape. So without further ado, boom, there she is, our queen, our fearless warrior. Hi there, Kalini. Hi, Judith. Thank you so much for popping in. Please share this. So tell us, how are you doing today, first of all?
I am doing good. I am blessed. I made it through a Wednesday.
Hump day!
Yes, we made it through Wednesday.
And that's what we have to do. We just, we have to be able to make it through each day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have to do it how? Fearlessly
Unapologetically.
and unapologetically. So, I know you're on here and you're sharing a Fearless Warrior project, but I really want to delve into, like, what was your first thought? How did you feel at 36, a mom, a wife, a Black woman working, having responsibilities, and the doctor says you have breast cancer?
What the first thoughts I had, I think working in healthcare prepared me a little bit for that journey. Because just going through the different appointments, I knew something was brewing in a sense. So I kind of put myself in a position of preparing myself for the unknown. Sometimes we try to stay optimistic of things and say, that's not me.
Right.
I got me. I'm not going to hear that. But, you have to prepare yourself for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I kind of did that. And oftentimes I do that. I've done that a lot in my life. And my husband my husband always say, you always think the worst of things. But I like to prepare myself for the things that I'm is going to be told that, you know, I'm not going to be able to receive it. And I don't want to have a breakdown because sometimes we make decisions in a breakdown and not really sit down and let it marinate for a second. So, on September 21st, 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, but I already knew walking into that office that I was going to hear something I didn't want to hear.
Right.
So I mentally prepared myself for that walk. I mentally prepared myself for that visit. I came with a binder of depending on what outcome came, if it was, we just gonna observe you for a couple of months, then I had sheets for that. But it was something, we need to do further testing. I had sheets for that. And I had sheets for, you have cancer. So hearing the words was like a light bulb switch. And
Right.
I had a breakdown for about 5-10 minutes, and my doctor stepped out and he said, I'm going to give you a minute to take for yourself. And when he walked back into that exam room, I was like, all right, let's go. What we doing? And I pulled out that binder and I turned to the sheets where you have cancer. Um, being a mom, of course, the first thing when you hear you have cancer, you think about death, right? And
Right.
I'm thinking about my two kids. How am I going to face them and tell them mom has cancer? How am I going to go home and have that conversation? And
Right.
just, I'm truly happy that I come from a legacy of women, of strong women, from my great grandmother to my grandmother to my mom, and to, my family at times was 5 generations of women for a very long time. And my grandmother was always my strength. And she used to always tell me, no matter what, you walk around with your head up high. You know, you walk around with a smile on your face. You never walk with your head down. So I
Right.
had to prepare myself to know, okay, how are we gonna go through this journey? Are we gonna be feeling sorry for ourselves, or are we gonna ride it till the wheels fall off? And that's what I chose to do. At the end of the day, we one thing we can't run from is death.
Right.
No matter what your journey might be, you can't run from death. So you're gonna sit there and cry about things you can't control, or you're gonna control your reaction to it. And I chose to control my reaction to it.
Wow. That's powerful. Um, People, I don't feel that I didn't, and being a registered nurse and even working with cancer patients, and you empathize,
Hmm.
but until you actually go through it, it's totally different. And I think that people forget that we're still human,
Yep.
they almost want to put us in a category. You see that? Like they want to put
Mhm.
us in a box and act like we don't, you know, go ahead, have your pity party. They, it's put us in a glass box,
Mhm.
actually. You know, don't break it. And you're like, but I need people around me who are strong. I need to stand up. I don't need you to treat me any differently. You know, yes, my body's going through, but I'm still the essence of myself. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, um, how did you have the conversation with your two children, your 15-year-old Harold and
Mhm.
your at the time 3-year-old, right?
She was
Offset,
4. She had
4-year-old
yeah,
Offset.
she was yeah. So with my son, actually on the way home, I called my dad. I told him, I was diagnosed. My dad
Mm-hmm.
rushed to her. I live in New York. He lives in Queens. He rushed to my house. I came home. My mom, my dad was here. My mother-in-law was here, and I pulled my son in the room first. At the end of the day, he's the person. I need to have that conversation before I
Right.
have the conversation with everyone else. And I just pulled him in a room and I told him, today I was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. But mommy's gonna get through it, and I
Right.
need you to understand that, you know, this is not gonna. This is, a change in our life, but I am here for you. Nothing's gonna change. And as your mom, I'm gonna make sure you have the support team that you've always had. Nothing's gonna change. It might not be mom doing it, but
Right.
somebody's gonna do it. And I said, took it in and he just kind of like sat there and he took it in and he was like, okay, okay. And I said, I knew that was a process. You
Right.
know, I kind of ripped the band-aid off. I had to allow him to let it settle. My daughter, on the other hand, she's young. So I was grateful enough to I've always been a cancer advocate before becoming a cancer survivor. So
Okay.
one of the organizations that I've been a participant in is Shades of a Cure, which is an organization in Harlem that does a cancer walk every year. And I've always had a team and I've always supported and advocated. I have family members that had cancer, but the founder, Diamond Shamgar, she has a coloring book called What is Cancer? And she had one specifically for breast cancer. So with that, I actually used that coloring book to have that conversation with my daughter because I
Wow.
needed to talk to her in her language. Um, and I needed to explain to her in her language what was going on because we fail to realize at times kids are very observant. We think because they're kids they don't get it. No, they get it. They get it more than some adults get it.
Right.
And they observe it and they receive it and they remember. So we have to be cognizant and pay attention to what we say and how we move around them and make sure that they are aware of what's happening because when they start questioning things, you don't want to ignore them.
Right.
So I made sure to build, I've always had great relationships with my kids, but now was a time that I needed to break these things down to them. I
Right.
needed to tell them that this is what's happening. I needed to tell them that this is what mommy's going to go through. I needed to tell my son, at the time he was in his last year of junior high school, mom got you a tutor to help you with your homework every week. Mom got you, he goes to a performing arts high school. Mom and dad got you someone to help you with your vocal coaching so that you can be ready for high school admission. I needed to make sure that he knew that regardless of what I was going to have to do, I put the chess pieces in place so the game could continue. And I made sure that I had a team in
Mhm.
place so that I could focus on fighting and not worry about my kids lacking because I wasn't present.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jerica, for coming on, and Coach Trina. That's really important, and the fact that you had the wherewithal, you still had the, the mental acumen that y'all, chemo brain, I'm looking for a specific word, but y'all know what I mean. Okay, you were able to hold it together
Yes.
and say, okay, I know what my children's needs are, and I need to
Mhm.
show them that I'm fighting, but it doesn't mean that I'm down. and
Yep,
out.
but I'm absent.
And so you're having them prepared. You've taught them a life lesson to, just prepare. Things are going to happen that we don't have control over, but it doesn't mean we have to fall apart.
Yep.
And we may not have control over it, but okay, what's going on? Let's come up with a solution as opposed to a problem. But still allowing them to be children and still allowing them to validate their feelings. Because I think as children, we want to hide it, and then they know something's wrong. They are always ear hustling, so they find out anyway.
Definitely.
But the fact that you made them a part of the process, that I think that says a whole lot. That really is, you do wear that cape, that pink cape that you be talking about. So also, I know you said your husband, was he there with you when you found out?
Yeah, so my husband was there with me when I found out I had cancer. He actually was there with me throughout the whole journey, every appointment, every chemo treatment. And that was one of the things, especially going through a pandemic, right? And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, the hospitals were restricting visitors, and a lot of people had to go through this journey by themselves. And I tell people all the time, you have to open your mouth and you have to speak for yourself. Because at the end of the day, yes, we are going through a pandemic. Yes, there's restrictions in place, but your mental health matters, right? So if
Right.
I know that I can't be in a chemo room for hours by myself, I need to be allowed to have at least one person with me. Because at the end of the day, yes, I understand we're going through a pandemic, but I have to get through this process. This is much bigger than that.
Right.
Whatever they got to do, whatever testing they got to do, whatever testing you need to do for them to make it happen, then let's do that. Because at the end, when it's all said and done, I got to sit in that room for hours and be injected with, in a sense, poison, in a sense,
Right.
in reality. Because the reality of it is, chemotherapy is there to kill cancer cells, but it also kills other things. And it also, I used to tell people all the time, people don't realize when you're a person sitting in a chair, right? A lot of times as healthcare professionals, we watch this.
Right.
We watch it, right?
Yes.
But when you're the person sitting in a chair and the person next to you having a whole hazardous suit to inject this stuff into you, it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. So
Yeah.
imagine being there by yourself.
Right.
Imagine not having that support or someone to tell you, you got this. Imagine you having a breakdown and you like ready to like, nah, I'm not doing this today. I'll come back next week. Try me again next week. And you having somebody like, no, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna get this done.
Right.
This has to happen. Because unfortunately, I was diagnosed with stage 1 triple negative breast cancer. And if anybody doesn't know, triple negative breast cancer means that I don't have any of the genetic genes that warrant me to be high risk to have breast cancer. Long story short, they don't know why I have it, right? So they cannot direct me into what direction of medications that will help my circumstance. Triple negative breast cancer is one of the most aggressive ones because they don't know why it's happening, right? So I'm not HR positive. I don't have HER2. I don't, some women can go on medication for 5 years and not do chemotherapy. Some women can take immunotherapy pills and other things to help them. My only option is chemotherapy, aggressive chemotherapy at that. I don't have any other option. And
Right.
if I have a reoccurrence, my reoccurrence more than likely has a higher percentage of coming back at a higher stage. So, when you have to make those decisions on what you need to do to survive, being 36, having to cut my right breast off, I'm still in my prime.
Right.
I'm not trying to walk around here lopsided. But I have to make the decision on if I want to stay, if I want to be here to fight for as long as I'm able to, or am I more concerned about how I look? Going through chemotherapy, I was going to chemotherapy every other week, 15 rounds of aggressive chemotherapy. I had long locks. I I went bald. My, you know, and I made the decision to cut my locks off myself. I didn't wait till it fell out.
Right.
I made the decision to make those choices for myself because I knew it was coming. I didn't have a choice. You know, if I wanted to be around for my kids, if I wanted to be around for myself, I needed to make those decisions and be comfortable with it.
Right.
Because, you know, I can honestly say the one thing that really ticked me off was my eyebrows. You know,
Y'all, I've had to hear about these eyebrows, y'all. So y'all got to hear about the eyebrows too.
my eyebrows, when my eyebrows went, it was over. It was over for everybody at that point because I'm like, I'm walking around, I got no eyebrows, I ain't got no edge. First of all, I didn't have edges that much, you know, but the eyebrows was thick. So it kind of, you know, it blended in a little bit. And I ain't got neither. And my 5-year-old is like, I'll draw them for you.
That was so cute.
It was cute. But it's like, you know, it's just those reality checks. You know, as
Right.
women, we could walk around and be confident and be like, I'm this, but internally, we still have those insecurities about ourselves. We still feel some type of way sometimes. And to have pieces of you taken away, and not because you chose to take them away, you had no choice. And for
Right.
me, being the type of woman that I am, not having a choice is not a good feeling. I like to be in control.
Right.
And not having control, it don't sit too well. It is not a good feeling. But
You
these are
know,
the decisions that we have to make when our life is on the line. And people
right.
don't realize the mental effect that happens to us. Because we go to the doctor and the doctors, you know, they take care of the medical and the clinical stuff, but they don't take care of what's going on up here. You know, imagine being a young black woman and my doctor giving me a prescription for a wig. And I'm like, well, bro, where am I getting this wig from? Because I'm 36. I ain't 66.
Right.
And I don't need to look like an usher in the church.
And you may not wear wigs.
And I may not wear wigs. But even so, what kind of wigs am I getting with this prescription? Because the wigs I'm going to get, I don't know if this prescription going to cover it. Thank you. You understand?
Like this, like what I got on here. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What I'm going to do is just take a quick break and just let everybody know. Thank you so much for coming in. If you are on the replay, please make sure that you still share. If you're here in the live audience with us, share. Tammy, thank you. We see you pop in. This is We're having a good time, but it's a serious talk, and this is why we have the ugly side of the backstory, the late night with Travis Michelle show. This is why, y'all, I am not on in the day. I'm too much for that because we need to feel comfortable. We need to be able to have, as they say, real talk, real discussions, and real solutions to different problems and issues. And guess what? A lot of times, the women look like us, and we need to not uh, you know, hold on to it, keep it a secret. Shh, let this stay in the house. You know how we say, does this stay in the house? What happens in the house stays in the house.
Yeah.
No, we need to shout it. We need to know what people are going through. Because when we know what a cancer patient is going through and how they feel, and everybody's different, everybody has a variation, but you at least know to say, hey, let me give a text. Okay. I didn't answer my text that often. I definitely wasn't answering the phone. I have DMs I'm still trying to get to on IG, Facebook, you know, but I could open my eyes and say, oh, wow, somebody thought of me. I might go back to sleep and be sleeping for 20 hours. But all of that, it makes a difference. And a lot of times, as Dr. Nikki likes to say, from as founder of Herpreneur Network, it's the strangers for me. I was fortunate to have Akil, Sasha, and Kalik in my corner, my 3 children who are adults, and they were my caregivers. But we all don't always have that. So that's what we share about. That's what we're talking about this week with Michelle Anderson Benjamin and her the Fearless Warrior Project LLC. But she is the Fearless Warrior. In addition to that, I am your expert confidence coach. Yes, I is. I have a Boss Up with Confidence journal that you can purchase on Amazon, and I've developed the WALK methodology. W is willing participant. A, action steps. L, love yourself, which involves, because we say love yourself, but what does it really mean? It means forgiving yourself, which leads to freedom, which leads to redemption. And then you can do what? You can kick butt unapologetically. In addition to that, I am also a speaker. And this weekend, Michelle and I, we were wheelchair pimping as we went. Our doctors cleared us because we really needed that. We needed a change. And, you know, it was a lot. It was the first time I was out in like almost 4 months. And, but I was one of the headline speakers, and Michelle is an officer in Herpreneur Network. So we went together and we supported each other. And that's the other thing, like with the Fearless Warrior Project, it's just Michelle. It's really about all of us together and leaning on each other. And so I'm just so fortunate to have her in my circle, because y'all don't understand. Like under here, my hair is bald, but I took control and had my head shaved, and now I just clip it every few days. And I like wearing my wigs. My doctor was like, girl, go ahead and do your wigs, do all the colors you want to do. And it's not that I'm ashamed of my bald head, but it's patchy. It's not coming in right. So you're going to have baldy places and stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm confident in myself. So I'm just going to, look extra cute with my wigs. But that was a process, and people don't realize that process. Like you see Michelle's hair, it is beautiful. Some of her hair grows in certain places and others it doesn't. So she made it work, right? And the style is just, it's fantastic. So please make sure that you guys still continue to share. And we're going back to our scheduled time with Michelle Anderson Benjamin. Yes, yes. So you shared your husband supported you along the way. And that you told your children and how you were feeling. And our mental health is so important. And we need a therapist. Mm-hmm. You have a therapist? Michelle was like, you need a therapist. I was like, okay. So I have a therapist, and it helps because we can share with each other, and she knows exactly how I'm feeling. Even when I didn't know how I was feeling, I could explain it, even in between my chemo fog. But a family member just wants to make sure you're okay. So they, they're going to be like, it's going to be all right. But that's not helping me. I need to know that stuttering is just part of chemotherapy right now, that the brain fog is part of chemotherapy, the nausea. I'm drinking ice water here because I'm nauseous as a mug, but this is what helps. So you continue living as you live your new, what do you always say to me, Michelle, it's my new reality.
Yeah, your new normal.
Right, my new normal. So tell us now about the Fearless Warrior Project. What is that?
So the Fearless Warrior Project was created during my journey. I wanted to turn my pain into purpose, right? I wanted to reach women and reach a community of people that look like me, that are not getting the resources and the support that to get through this journey. It also came from my daughter. My daughter inspired it. My daughter, Offset Benjamin and Harold Benjamin III, I love them to death, so I have to give them their shout out. They inspired me because my daughter, regardless of what's going on, she always finds a way to brighten up the room. She always finds a way to hold me accountable. Like even now, I have a Peloton bike, and I bought her the kid version of the Peloton bike. So I said, I'm going to ride this bike. I'm going to get, I'm working out. I got cleared for, to be back into workout, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. But it don't feel like that some days, right? She makes sure every morning before she go to pre-K, she go, Mommy, didn't we say we're going to ride the bike before I go to class? Every morning, she go, why you still sleep, sis? And she's 5. And, some people would take that like, oh, she's a kid. But at the end of the day, she's holding me accountable.
Right.
She's holding me accountable for what I said I'm going to do. She's fearless to let me know that I got you. And at 5. So it's a community of being supportive, to show people that you can be fearless in anything that you go through. Your struggle is not your downfall. It is your superpower that help you become better, to help you to tell your testimony, to help you to help others. Because in reality, these things that happen in our lives happen for a reason. We can't walk around with the mindset of why me. We have to walk around with the mindset of why not me. Why is this happening? Why did this happen to Michelle, right? Why did, at 36, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I didn't have a lump in my breast. I didn't have anything that warranted for me to go get a mammogram, but I woke up one day and my breast was leaking blood.
Wow.
So why did this happen to me? And then I go through the journey and I could sit there and I could be stuck in, God, why did you do this to me? But in this moment, I found my voice. I found what my purpose is, what my story is, and how just for me, like I posted is I posted my journey on my social media platform. I did TikToks during chemo treatment. I played music. I documented my journey, not necessarily because I wanted to be popular, but in my mind as a mom, I wanted to create a documentary for my kids in case this journey didn't happen the way it's supposed to. For them to look and see, look at my mom's strength. Look at what she went through. Look at her everyday struggle. Look how fearless she was in her journey. Even
Yeah.
on days she didn't wake up that way. Even in days she didn't wake up that way. Look at my mom push through, regardless of how she feels. I tell people all the time. I had I did an activity with my son, right? And because I know my son was he was internalizing his feelings. And as a mom, I'm in tune. I'm in tune with my kids, I try to be in tune as much as I can. And
Right.
I knew he was holding back because I'm a person, I look at your eyes. The eyes tell the story of the soul. So you could sit there with a smile on your face, but if your eyes are cloudy, you're going through something.
Right.
So I was just caught and I'm like, Harry, what's going on? I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. So I had to sit back and I said, how am I going to get to this kid? Because he's going to find me he's going to tell me he's fine for every day this week. So I brought him in a room and I said, Harold, if you was at my funeral, what would you say?
Wow.
And we sat and if you were at my funeral, what would you say? And he stood there and he got up and I said, I need you to stand up like you're at the podium.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to speak and say whatever's on your heart. And he sat there and he said, my mom is one of the strongest people I know. I watched my mom go through so many things. And regardless of what she went through, she still was my mom. He said, I remember days that, and I'm going to tear up. I'm a thug, but I do cry. I remember days, and this, mind you, we going through a pandemic. So my son is going through so much, not just
Right.
with his mother, but the world around him is falling apart. And he's a young Black man in America. He's hearing about young Black men getting killed by the cops and being treated and being targeted, right? So he's going through so much. But he said, regardless of whatever my mom went through, my mom still was my mom. He goes, who do you know is in the bathroom throwing up from chemotherapy and stops to yell, you better have your camera on for your class. If I come in that living room and your camera's not on, we're going to have a problem. And in that moment, he just broke down crying because he was holding in so much.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he knew that regardless of whatever I was going through, I was still his mother. And that's one thing cancer can't take away from me. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I'm still the mother to my kids. I am still the person to my family. And I show up for myself.
Right. And that's so important. And that's what I always say. Like, we have to make ourselves priority number one. I know. I can hear you. I can hear you, mothers. I hear you. No, my kids are first. Well, guess what? When you get on a plane, and we heard this while we were on the plane, they said, please adjust your mask before you try to help someone else. Mm-hmm. So if we don't make ourselves a priority number one, kings and queens, then how can we really pour into our children, pour into other people, pour into our businesses, pour into our relationships, right? Because we'll be pouring from an empty cup. and we also change the narrative with our children, like Michelle is doing with her daughter and her son. Having that dialogue, that open, honest, transparent dialogue,
Mhm.
which gives them permission to say, okay, I'm going to go through some stuff, but I don't have to hold it in. I can be strong while I'm going through it. It's okay for me to have feelings. And because I've seen my mother still go through it and stay strong, and staying strong doesn't mean I don't cry. It doesn't mean that I'm silent and I don't talk about it, but she continued to love herself. And that's how we're teaching our children, our young men, our young daughters, and older, okay, to love ourselves. So I think that is great. I do want to shout out Judy Ambrose. How are you? Wendy, thank you so much. Angelique, thank you guys so much for coming in. And please make sure you share this out. If you're on the replay, please put in replay so that we know that you stopped by. These are candid conversations. This is like real talk, as Judy uh, Ambrose James says. Life is going to happen to us.
Mhm.
We don't have any control over that, right? But I always say it's how you get through your journey. That process to me is more important than when you get to the end. How did you handle going through? And I like to share that. And I'm trying not to get emotional. Although I tried these magnetic lashes because we get when you're in chemo and stuff, you're trying to do cleaner things and not be so toxic. So I can't use, and I love y'all know I love my eyelashes. Y'all follow me on my social media, but I'm doing magnetics. But and you have to have a sense of humor. Can't take yourself so seriously. If you can't laugh, man, you just be a hot to the mess or hotter to the messer.
Yep.
But Michelle means so much to me, and I've said it publicly in other forums, but she did not have to say, Queen, I got you. This is Team Trevor's Michelle. Um, we speak daily, sometimes, several times a day, but we speak daily. She would, even when I was going through my chemo and radiation and was out of my mind, she would still text, I'm just checking on you. That's okay. That's normal. And Michelle went through hers during the height of the pandemic, but the pandemic's not over.
Nope.
So when I had to go through radiation, they would only have one person. And I was happy they would do that. But for 22 of the 25 radiations, I just went on my own. And then my daughter came for three of my 5 radiation chemotherapies. But I want to shout out that when I told Michelle, I said, well, I'm going to ring the bell. I said, but my daughter started a job. She's a supervisor, so she can't be here. My other friends, they can't be here. And they didn't want anybody there. They were like, no, you can't have anybody come with you. And I was like, I need to have somebody with me. And my team I have some of the best doctors ever. I'm going to be posting on my Instagram. Michelle can tell you that. She has
Yeah.
witnessed it, some of the best medical team ever. And they were like, okay, because she had her vaccination card and everything was up to date, they were like, no problem. And they know that's, I'm like, no, you don't, she's helped pull me through. Who do you think made me do a 30-second and a 40-second TikTok? Michelle. I thought I was going to die. I did it, but 30 seconds was like 5 minutes to me. That 40-second one almost took me out. And when they came to get me for my radiation, prior to me ringing that bell for the external, they had to wait for me because I had to catch my breath. And then I dragged my little self back. And once I had my radiation, they allowed her to come back and she was there. But she showed up with 4 tubes coming out of her right chest, draining, and flowers. That's somebody who's a fearless warrior. And I'm like, girl, you can't come out here. She still had drains from her breasts. And she's like, I got to be there for you. And I'm sharing this because this is what a fearless warrior looks like. This is what a true friend looks like. Y'all think we've been friends for like 100 years? No. Mm-mm. But when God puts you in that place, when you ask for discernment and you say, God, I can't do this on my own, he brings the people to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been connected. When people say Travis Michelle, they look for Michelle. When they say Michelle, when we're traveling, they look for Travis Michelle. And that's why we even traveled together to the hurricane this weekend in Alabama. My daughter, I don't want you going by yourself. I said, oh no, I'm with Michelle. Oh, okay, you two are together. Now, granted, what did you say, Michelle? The two of us made
The
one
two of
person.
us made one person. And the thing about it, it was just so funny because we both were in wheelchairs. People looking at us like, why are you in a wheelchair? They don't look like they need to be in no wheelchair. We sat there in no wheelchairs. Yes, how you doing? Right there with the elderly people. Yes, we are. And then when we got to a place when we asked for assistance, and people like, oh, you can do it yourself. I'm a cancer survivor. I cannot lift this suitcase. You can lift it.
Right.
And look at you just like this.
That's right. You can't, we don't, just because we don't look like our struggle does not mean that we don't have an issue. And
Mm-hmm.
we were proud. We put our pictures on social media. We were looking cute and we said we were wheelchair pimping.
Yes, we
And that's
were.
where that new reality, your new normal, I cannot make it through an airport. I haven't been able to make it
Why?
completely around my block, right? So I need assistance. I'm sitting here in my chair, y'all. I have my pajama bottoms on, but I'm good from up here up, right? Look, this is real talk here. This is ugly side
Mhm.
of the backstory, but we're still here for each other, and this friendship, no one can come in between, like nobody, because a fearless warrior. She turned me into that fearless warrior, and she doesn't even know that. And I'm strong. Look, I'm in New York City. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a Black woman. I'm type A personality. What? Let's go. I was a travel nurse. Picked up my children, my dog, got in the car and went to Georgia. Didn't know a darn soul there. You know what I'm saying? And then we traveled to DC and did what? But going through this, it was like, man, I needed that. My daughter, as much as I love Sasha and Akil and Khalik, my sons, there's certain things they couldn't help me with. My other good girlfriends, there were just certain questions, when I was having feelings, they didn't understand it. I didn't even understand it. So to have you be that person, I applaud you. I honor you, Queen. Angelique is on here. Judith Hines, hi. Wendy, thank you so much. Demetria Donaldson, yes. So, are you gonna walk for us? Thank you. Can you tell us, remind people about the walk and when it is in May?
Yeah, so the walk is actually June 25th.
June.
Yes, in June 25th. It's the Shades of a Cure walk. It's their 11th year walk that they do in Harlem. And then when I say it is a block party, it is for a community event, but it's an event of people that look like us. And I promote them so much because for a woman of color to be diagnosed with cancer and you walk into your cancer center and you stand out because there's not many that look like you. African American women are the highest rate of diagnosed with breast cancer, but when we have the highest mortality rate, simply because we lack the resources and the knowledge, because of the resources and the knowledge is not there.
Right.
And that's in all honesty, that is in every category of cancer. People of color are the highest rate because we lack the resources and the knowledge. And that's because the resource and the knowledge is not available to us as in other cultures. I tell people all the time, and for me to be, I was a healthcare administrator, and I had to look for resources for myself. So I had to buddy up with organizations like Sisters Network or For the Breast of Us, Living Beyond Breast Cancer. Why? Because the hospital I went to couldn't connect with me. They couldn't provide services for me.
Right.
I'm a woman under 40. I'm not crocheting. I'm not doing puzzles. I'm not playing bingo. I'm still
Right.
in the club. I'm still, trying to have my Mega Stallion party knees on. I'm not doing that. So You have to connect with me. I'm not gonna lose who I am because of what's going on in my life. I'm still gonna be
Right.
Michelle. So I tell people all the time,
She said
don't
her Megan the
you
niece.
you saw them when we did the partition TikTok.
I'm sorry. I had to say
You know,
it's a hot mess, okay?
ain't nothing going to change about Michelle. Michelle's still going to be Michelle, even with, even with something body parts missing, she's still going to be Michelle. But I say all that to say is that we lack resources, we lack knowledge, and we can sit here and we can, you hear about disparities and lack of diversity and so many things, but what are we doing to change the narrative? We can't
Right.
continue saying what we don't have. We have to demand it. And in order to demand it, you have to open your mouth. You have to open your mouth and you have to let yourself be known. You have to let people know I am here. And at the end of the day, yes, I have my own organization, but organizations that I affiliate with, I'm going to speak on them too. Why? Because we are a community. We collaborate. And there's so many of us that it's enough room at the table for everybody. But if
Absolutely.
you don't speak on these things, people don't know about it. And I tell, one thing I tell people all the time, I name my organization the Fearless Warrior Project for a simple reason. I am not scared. I am not scared to fight for what I believe in. And if that means that I gotta fight till the wheels fall off, then that's what I gotta do. Why? Because for me, when it hit home for me, is when my doctor told me that my 5-year-old daughter has to get mammograms at 25.
Mm,
How do I prepare her for that journey?
right.
How do I have those conversations with her so she don't be scared when she walks in that office? How do I teach her to be able to advocate for herself? Because
Wow.
one thing I will tell people, and I want people to fully understand this: if you walk in an office and you don't know what's going on with your body, people will tell you whatever they want you to hear. But when you asking the right questions and you demanding the right answers, you will get a different approach and a different doctor. Because that doctor will realize that they got to do their job for you. You
Right.
just another person in their room. But in order to do that, you have to educate yourself. You have to be a willing participant for your health. You have to do your research. You have to do your research and you have to have the confidence to speak up for yourself. And if you're able to, that is fine. But make sure you partner up with somebody that can.
Right. That's
You know,
right.
make sure you partner with somebody that can, because my doctors know I'm not playing with you. They know I'm not the one because I let it be known. At the end of the day, I got kids. Well, my husband told me, "You're not leaving me here with these two kids." But at the when it's all said and done, I still have my mindset is I have a daughter that as her mother, I have to make sure that she is ready. I would never wish this on her or anyone else, but I have to make sure that she is ready. So when she goes to the doctor and they say, "Oh, you're too young. You don't have to worry about it." No, I do.
Right. Find a new doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, you don't want to help me?
You're
Thank you.
dismissed.
Absolutely
You're dismissed.
dismissed. Absolutely.
You
Right.
know?
Because people always think that you've had a history. I
Yep.
don't have a family history of cervical cancer. Now, of course, my daughter, she's like, Mom, I'm going for mine. I'm telling women. And I have to say this announcement too. Queens, please go for your pelvic exams because cervical cancer is curable. Mine is curable. Um, Could I caught it at an earlier stage? Absolutely. But you know what? I have PTSD from pap smears and exams, and we don't talk about that. We don't talk
Mhm.
about the fact that sometimes as women and Black women and women of color, that because of some trauma in our past, we're not going to the doctor for ourselves. Sometimes we even have the resources. Nurses and medical field are the worst at going to the doctor because we don't want to, well, I don't want to find something. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes it's, well, I don't have time. I can't take the day off, because I'm taking care of everybody else. Right. So we have to make ourselves that priority number one and then look for those resources. Because if I had not opened my mouth when I was speaking to my therapist and told her that I shaved my head off I took back my power.
Mhm.
Instead of just letting it shed in the bed, she had it shaved off. She was like, "Oh, well, let me give you a connect with the young lady who will give you wigs." Huh? And guess what? The wigs are cute. They're brand new because companies get money for that, right?
They
And she
do.
sent me three. I thought I was getting one wig. She sent me three wigs. I have three different styles I can play with. And she says, "Oh, I see you like your blonde." So, and fabulous. And you know what? They have wigs there because people are not taking advantage because they don't advertise it. And we
Yep.
don't know to ask. There's not a lot of organizations with cervical cancer or cervical cancer with Black women. And it's like the third highest um, for cancer.
Yep.
And of course, as usual, the Black, Latina, people, women of color, it's very high and it's easy to take care of. Take that HPV vaccine. I know I'm not a big one on, all vaccines, but this one, yeah, and our boys have to take it. So that's so important. I'm glad you brought that up. Look, we can chat and chat and chat. We have like 9 minutes left. I want to welcome also DJ for coming in. Thank you, Queen. You see all our comments. I'm putting them up so that when you go back for the replay or you share this with other people, they have an opportunity to also view the comments. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you find us here, Late Night with Travis Michelle. Ugly side of the backstory. Yes, we talk about the ugly side of our experiences and not staying stuck there, but what we did, that process as we went along. We always have to remember that instead of looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, you have to be your own light. Why stumble in the dark? We're all light at the end of the tunnel. You're bumping into walls, you're falling into holes, right, in the ground. And sometimes you can't dig your way out. But when you're the light, as you're going along, you're attracting other people. Like I've attracted Michelle. We're magnets for each other. In
Yep.
addition to that, I have my journal, Boss Up with Confidence. It's being sold on Amazon, and I share my WALK method, which is willing participant, action steps, love yourself through forgiveness, freedom, and redemption, which leads to kicking butt unapologetically. Also, an announcement, drum roll. I will have the Boss Up with Confidence Academy soon. So I will be able to put a link out so that you can get on the wait list because this is something we need to do. And it's a tool that you can use throughout your life, not just now. And
Yeah.
you can use it. I had to whip it out going through cancer. I had to be a willing participant, like Michelle. She had to be a willing participant. She made a decision to be a fearless warrior. And then she took action steps. And then she forgave herself. It freed her up of her redemption. And she is definitely kicking butt unapologetically. Michelle, where can we find you? How do we stay connected to you?
So you can find me on Facebook, Michelle Anderson. And also I have my the Fearless Warrior Project LLC. My email is fearlesswarrior36 at gmail. In 2 weeks, the Fearless Warrior Project website will be launched. Um,
Yay!
thank you. And we'll be offering coaching sessions, support groups, because I am a firm believer that we have to address the mental health and the emotional components of our journey. It's not an organization that's designated to a particular cancer. I'm a firm believer we can all learn from each other.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we all, and it doesn't necessarily have to be cancer either. Just trauma and hurdles in your life, we can all learn from each other. And in order to learn, you have to be open. Sometimes have a coach that can help us through that process. So that is, I am your coach. In order for if I'm a person, let's pass the wealth. Let's make this a healing session because we hold on to so much because we're going through pain. But in order to grow, you have to let it go. In order to grow,
That's
you have
right.
to. So and also, we're going to be doing cancer events in the future. Um, Do you want to drop a little hint, or we want to keep it reserved for now?
No, go ahead. Let's go ahead so they'll be excited about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Travis and I are putting together a cancer summit at the end of the year. We're still working out the details, but we'll be doing a cancer summit and we'll be looking for guest speakers that are cancer survivors, cancer thrivers, and it's not designated to one particular cancer. Like I said, we are all here to learn from each other. It is not. It is time that we actually make a voice for ourselves and we speak up
Right.
about it. The more you speak about it, the more it's going to be acknowledged, the more we have to be acknowledged. And in order to stop this stigma of, we are lacking resources and we are lacking advocacy, we have to be the voice of change. People get
Right.
so stuck in complaining, but don't want to be the resolution. And I'm going to be the resolution as much as I can do. But, I'm one person. If more people, we collaborate, we can be a whole army. So, look for that information coming up soon.
Thank you. Yes. And you see that collaboration because women need it, and it's open to all women. But we're women of color. We're Black women. So, when we speak, we are speaking directly because our audience knows exactly how we're feeling. But this applies to all women because I will share with you when I went for my second opinion, my patient experience was not good. I'm a registered nurse. So I knew exactly what I knew the treatment plans. I knew that, but I'm still a patient. Mm-hmm. But that second opinion, it was not nice. If I had not had the excellent team ahead of time, it definitely would have been a different outcome mentally. Physically, yeah, still, it's curable. They said that too. But your mental state plays such a big role. As my grandmother says, the tail follows the head. So when your head's not together, it's hard to get the rest of your butt together. It is. But when you see some people, they just look so confident, right? And you say, well, they're not a size 4. Like, everybody's not supposed to be a size 4. Some of y'all be looking like crackheads if you were. But they're not a size 4. They're 16. And they are just strutting. Look at Lizzo, right? Confident. Because that's what it is. It's mentally. When you get your mental state together, you can push through. I had to, just like Michelle, she's like, okay, what music do you want to listen to? She had me all together. What music you're going to listen to? You're going to have that with you. What outfits are you wearing every day when you get up there? Because I had to walk like up hills. They're not like just a little bitty incline. I had to walk up hills. And she's like, okay, you're going to do it every day. That's all right. But when you come home, you're going to go and rest. But you can get there, and just pumping me up. And that's what I needed, even though I didn't know I needed it. So again, I'm going to always give you your flowers while you are here, and everywhere we go. Like I said, when they see one, they see the other one. I'm Travis Michelle, and this is Michelle. But that's just how we roll. So Michelle, before we go, can you give us some parting words of encouragement?
Okay, let's see. Don't be scared to be you. Understand that most people might not like you. Don't worry about what they think. Don't be scared to be you. Walk in your truth. And realize when you're doing something good, it'll get harder around you. But that means you're walking in your purpose. And most importantly, don't give up on yourself.
Yeah.
We get discouraged very quickly, and oftentimes we are everyone's support system but ourselves. Because we can be the strong person for everybody else for ourselves. We have to learn to be able to be our own cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
And realize and don't be afraid of failure. I wasn't always, I'm a passionate speaker, and people would never think that I was hesitant to speak about Michelle until Michelle ain't have no choice. And when Michelle ain't have no choice, God sat me down and said, you ain't got no choice, love. You're going to have to open your mouth now and speak about Michelle. You speak so well for everybody else. But when are you going to speak for Michelle? And
Right.
once I started opening my mouth and speaking for Michelle, the process started, the wheel started to turn, and I started to realize you have a purpose here, love. You've been running away from it all this time. Now you opened your eyes and you see that you are here for a reason. It's showtime.
That's, thank you so much. Sandy Sanders is here. Thank you so much for popping in. We so appreciate you. If you're here for the replay, just type in replay. Make sure that you go for your mammograms. Make sure, yes, and you know the machine was probably built by a man and it smushes up your breast, but that's okay. You need to do it anyway. And go for your gynecological, your vaginal exams. Yes, I said the word because we got to be real with it. And bring somebody with you. For me, it's PTSD doing a PAP, doing a vaginal exam, but I had people there with me and they literally, the nurse on one side, my friend on the other, and they held my hand. And my doctor, my gynecologist, she's like, we're going to take it step by step because she knows that it's so traumatic for me, which is why I hadn't been going. Take a buddy with you. If you don't have someone, some people say, well, I'm in the city, I don't have anybody. That nurse, that tech, don't sleep on them. Open your mouth and let them know I'm a little nervous. DJ was saying she's going for her colonoscopy. That's important. You know, it's important that we take our blood pressure medicine. It's important that we cut out some of that salt. It's important that we rest. And those of us that are business men and women and talk about, yeah, you know, you lazy if you don't get up early. Everybody's circadian rhythm, their body doesn't work better early. And if you don't get your rest, you're not at 100%. We got to change the narrative, change that mindset and shift it over that says, dream bigger than your thoughts and let your thoughts be bigger than your dreams. I am so excited that you guys came in today. Please come back on next Wednesday. I have a nice surprise for y'all. Oh my goodness. My docs, unless they have an emergency, they're going to be coming on, and that's my radiation oncologist and my GYN oncologist. They were like, oh, we're coming on your show. Absolutely. So when you come out with my mouth, and they believe in me. And Michelle had the opportunity to meet them, and she's like, oh my goodness, I love that. So make sure that you come in next week and tune in tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's going to air tomorrow, but I am going to be on a podcast. So I will keep you abreast. Follow me on IG at Travis Michelle, Facebook at Travis Michelle, LinkedIn. I'm working on that. Okay. I know, on Travis Michelle. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Travis Michelle. And I'm on Twitter. I have to, you know, I got to get into the Twittering, but it's there. And I'm going to start to use it because we have to spread the word and let people know that making ourselves priority number one is key. Okay. So Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everybody who came on and took time out.
So much.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on. She's like my spiritual mom. We met years ago in Aruba, and I was there for my birthday, and we just stayed attached. So thank you so much for the support, Queen. I really appreciate you. So guess what? You know who this is. You know how it's going to go down, right? Because I'm going to see you next Wednesday. You're going to follow me on IG. You're going to follow me live on my Facebook. But I need to say it. Okay, I got to say it. Y'all can't stop me from saying it. What? I'm too much for some, and I'm not enough for others. Y'all will get over it. But guess what? I'm always, and I mean always, not sometimes, not when I feel like it, not when you see me in person or you see me here. I'm always just right for me. So until next time.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Good night.
Good night.